Hi, I'm Jennifer. Welcome to Orton Gillingham Coaching. Today I want to talk about B and D confusion. Most tutors and teachers of Orton Gillingham, or any phonics program really, are going to have some students, or 10, that get the B and D confused. It's a common challenge for kids, and if you throw in a dyslexia diagnosis, it could get even tougher. So there are several strategies that we could use to help, and I'm going to go over those today. Why is it common for B and D to get confused? It's because the letters are mirror images of each other. This can make it difficult for kids to distinguish the difference between the two. And especially, like I said before, if you have a diagnosis of dyslexia, it can get even more difficult because they do tend to transpose letters and numbers anyway. So the mirror image causes it. P and Q also could have some issues. When do we teach B and D? B is here on our scope and sequence, and D is down here on our scope and sequence. So in our scope and sequence, when we're teaching, we do teach B and D separately. We do not teach them together. And we do our same drill cards, auditory, kinesthetic, and visual exercises. We bat. And we have them writing it and saying bat. We do our normal routine for that. When the exercises I'm going to give you come in is when the confusion happens. If you have a student that starts to, once they start reading and writing and seeing B and D together, they start to become confused and not using the correct letter, writing the wrong, B for D and D for B, that's when you know you have an issue. That's when you begin the techniques that I'm going to give you here in a minute. Once again, you're not using these techniques to teach B and D, you're using these techniques to correct a B and D confusion. And I just want to be very clear about that. So that it's not confusing as a teacher that what we're using these exercises for. There are many strategies that we can use to help alleviate B and D confusion. One of the most popular is something like this, where you have the word bed. It's an easy word for even a young child to learn to spell. Once they are seeing it, if they're getting confused, they just say the word bed, but you get them used to doing it through a graphic like this. So you just have them start tracing it, B-E-D, bed, and you just go over it over and over again. Activity number 2 is using multisensory exercises to commit mind to motor. So I have 2 forms here. One is just tracing, and it goes down here. This is from my workbook 1 in scope and sequence workbooks. The other one are sandpaper letters, so you could get shaving cream, and I love these sandpaper letters just for tracing. I do like to put the E in the middle and go ahead and do the bed in this way too. To me, it just helps separate the two instead of just doing B and just doing D. So we would, use our sandpaper, have them B, E, D, B, E, D, and we might do D, B, E, D, B, E, D. So having them it is that kinesthetic portion and saying it out loud and visually seeing it all at the same time. And same with just tracing the letter itself. And you might have them do that separately. Something just fell. But so using multisensory exercises to reinforce. My next activity comes from a fellow Orton Gillingham tutor. And she did this really cute little thing where she said it actually did really help her student, and he loved it. She took 2 plates and she put her B and the D on it, and then she stuck some broccoli and a donut, and she told him, eat your broccoli before your dessert. Eat your broccoli before your donut. And she said it really helped him. So I just thought it was a neat idea. And the sentence, the remember sentence, is really nice. My next activity is just using a mnemonic to help remember. It's similar to keywords or doing the sentence, remember sentence, like we did with the broccoli and dessert, but this is a big brown bear, which is to jar the memory of what bed begins with. Or you could do the bear has a belly. You could do a bear with a belly and a B in it. And so they can remember bear, belly, and it's just to jar the memory using those mnemonics. Our last activity is going to be practice. And more practice, and more practice. You want to get plenty of opportunities for practicing to write the B and D. And one way is, of course, dictation is very important. Make sure that you are dictating words and sentences. And then you can also have them doing exercises like drawing pictures draw a picture of a bat, draw a picture of a dog. Be sure they write the letters too, but they could draw pictures and have fun with it. They can just be writing the letters. You can have say things like the word book, book. What letter does that start with? Have them write the B. Ditch, ditch. Have them write the D. So you can use words and just have them write those letters down. And then they're still hearing it too. So they're getting they're doing the visual, kinesthetic, and auditory at that point. You can have them write stories, complete stories if they're old enough, and say, here's 5 words to use in the story, and they all start with B or D. Or, a couple of them at least do. Then you can have them do journal entries. You can have your student talk about the B and D confusion in a journal entry, and then specifically say what words they missed, but they could just, any kind of journal entry really. They could talk about their day, and there's going to be a B and D come up. So anyway, there's just practicing writing the B and D. The more comfortable they get with their writing, then the more confident they get. It does get better. The confusion does. It could take some time. It could take a lot of time in some cases, especially if you have a real dyslexic student, but it does get better. As a final word, confusing B and D is pretty common, and you just have to get out these activities, use your visual cues, mnemonic devices, multisensory activities, and of course provide plenty of practice like we talked about. But your student will overcome the B and D confusion, and you will jump that hurdle and keep going on your Orton Gillingham journey. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll like and subscribe to this video and visit ogforall.com and certainly the workbook store. Thank you.